Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Prime Talk Show. I'm your host, Nicole Munzala, and today we have an exciting show lined up ahead. We have a special guest joining us today who will give us insights and educate us more on our topic how parents' behavior affect children at a very young age. But first of all, let him introduce himself. How are you?
I'm fine. Okay, I'm Elvis Madola. I'm a sociologist by profession, and I work by NGO called Mirror of Hope. This organization, it actually deals with kids from the age of 5 to, let's say, 24. Mostly teenagers. We work on this privileged children, where we educate them on how we educate the parents and the children on how to cope with their life, mostly with the parents on how to deal with their children, with their behaviors, and how
How
to
the parents' behavior affects their children
yeah
and how to cope with it.
how to cope with it.
So, Mr. Madola,
Yes.
according to you and the children you work with in your organization, from which age are the children more affected by their parents' behavior?
According to my own
Analysis.
my own analysis, I think the children are the age of 12 to most probably 24. Do you know why? Because children, let me not call them now children. Okay, they are now teenagers. Most of them, they are now going under adolescent stage,
Yes.
and so many parents are the less privileged communities. They don't really understand them, so whenever a child is trying to talk to them, to express themselves, their emotions and feelings, they're trying, they're really not even,
Understanding.
they don't even have the time to really
Listen
sit
to
down
them.
and listen to them. So I think it's mostly 12 to 24.
24.
Yes.
Okay.
And let me tell you why this age is mostly affected. I came to realize that most parents, they really don't listen to their kids. They don't really sit down to hear what their kids are really going through, and so this has become a very big problem to the society and to my work, because many many students, they have so many problems. Let's say, for example, a student has a problem with emotional challenges, mood swings, because the age of 12 to 9, it's just
12 to 19.
12 to 24.
Right.
It's an age where it's an adolescent process. Let's just say adolescent process, because now that's the problem.
There are a lot
There's
of
mood swings because
emotions,
of hormonal
changes.
Yeah,
Yes.
and that is why.
And I feel you. This is actually right, because right now, especially like in an African setting,
Yeah.
you find that it's hard to actually talk to your parents, because it's either they take your expressions or what you want to say or your grievances, they take it
Yeah.
as you're either provoking them or going against what they're trying to tell you. So it's actually really hard for them to express themselves.
Yeah.
And as they grow, it will be harder for them to actually communicate with people, because if you start from a family dynamic and you can't express yourself, it will be actually harder for you to come and speak to people out here, and communication will actually be less effective.
Exactly. In addition to that, let's say a student, the age of 15, let's say age of 15, most probably, he or she has a crush on a certain girl or boy. In Africa, we were just taught like that. Like, you can never go to tell your parents
I have a crush on someone.
some love relationship or
At a
matters
young age,
at the
especially.
young age. He or she will just take it the wrong way. So that becomes very hard for the students to really, like, to have a connection with their
With their
parents.
parents.
Yes. Another thing, mostly where I see the children, the teenagers, they have a problem with their career choices, and
I feel like that comes across because of lack of identity, where we only
Yeah.
do things because we want our parents to be happy for us.
We want
are doing
them to be happy.
We're doing this course because we want them to be happy.
they
because
know
we-
the best. Now that is the problem, because like me, when I was growing up, I was just told what I'm supposed to do.
You never said what you
yes,
want to do.
I never even sat down and said that I
You want
love
to do
doing
something
this, or I
different.
want to do this. So in Africa, mostly, let's just say mostly Africa, because they always tell us to there's certain career where when you do it, you are going to have a job career in your future, and when you do this, you're like me.
And
No,
technically,
but
they always
yes.
have opinions and suggestions to what you want to do. And
They
it's
say
either
it's
you
the
go
best.
with it or you go with it. You don't have a choice.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, it seems like you're disrespecting your parent or your guardian or anything like that. Mr. Madola,
Yes.
I feel like family conflict is actually one of the major reasons or causes rather that
Yes.
affect children from a very young age. Give
Yeah.
me more insights.
Actually, at that point, actually we can base it into parents to parent conflict, and also there's a parent to child conflict.
Right.
For instance, let me give you just a very brief story to a story, a life, a real story. For instance, let me tell you about a case study I actually did. There was a student at my organization. Actually, after talking so many hours, I was talking to a group of students, and the student felt touched and came to me and actually tried to talk to me about
Their family dynamic. Okay.
his situation. And so he told me that his father, always comes at home very late, and he's always drunk. He's never come home when he's drunk. And that has really affected him, because whenever he's back, they are always fighting with
his father.
His mother.
Oh, so the dad fights with the mom.
With the mom every time he comes back home,
Drunk.
with no reason, just coming out some issues and then start fighting. And actually, that actually has affected that boy, because he just wants to move out from that house. You see?
It messes with children like psychologically.
Yeah, he really, whenever the people and they live in a plot, so now every kid there knows that the father of this child always
hits
drinks
their mother.
and then hits her mother, and so that affected his emotional side, and also friends. He cannot even make friends
Engage
very well
with people,
because he cannot just
has already
communicate.
affected him.
Yeah. Also, also to add on that, many parents actually they blame their kids when the kids come to universities and colleges, and they find the kids they're drinking, they're smoking bang, and they're doing other bad illegal issues, and they come to blame on the kids. They say that the school has actually it's the peer pressure, but they don't forget that those problems they usually
start at home.
They start
Exactly.
actually basically at home, and that is where the problem is. So it's just best as a sociologist, I actually will feel like the parents they need to really conduct themselves well. They really need to see what they are doing, because whatever they are doing at home,
it rubs off to their children.
It rubs off to their children.
And children will always learn from that.
Will always do the exact thing.
If you're having like a son and you hit your wife,
Yeah.
I feel like technically the son will not see, the son sees that as a bad thing if you hurt their mother.
Yeah.
But if it grows with them from a young age, if they also hurt other women, they feel like they've taken it from their father. They've actually gotten it from their father, and they learn from it.
And now the problem is, now the sons they feel like hitting a wife, hitting is discipline. They feel like it's the best way to handle issues. Which is not good. Yeah.
Another parental behavior that I feel like affects children at a very young age is where parents actually prefer to do a lot of work than spend time or bond with their children, especially during their free time.
Exactly. That has come to remind me of something. When you really don't spend time with your kids, when you come back home, let's say 10, 12, many parents who are actually working, they are always working long hours.
Exactly.
And so when you come back home, you'll come to realize that your kids are only showing you the good side of them. But the inner side of them, you really don't know about anything.
Children.
You can find your kid, actually, he really smokes, and you really don't know when he started smoking. And he's smoking every day. When you come, he has actually made himself very comfortable and very presentable without you knowing. Another thing, you as a parent, you're always ready to pay your school fees, ready to pay for your examination. But you actually don't know the performance of your kid. And that is also a problem.
Exactly.
Yes.
I also feel like if a child has a problem and your parent is not always around, you don't have anyone to confide to, so you tend to suppress your feelings and emotions, and when you continue to grow, it actually becomes a problem because you'll not be able to communicate with other people, communicate your feelings, talk to people, express yourself. This actually affects a lot of people, especially in a working setting.
This problem actually, this thing, I think I've come to realize I don't know if it came with our fathers or what, because I come to realize that many people say that men are not supposed to confide,
exactly.
like to confide to their friends, like
To
they're not
speak
supposed
up
to
their
cry.
emotions.
That is something that is actually not good, because also men have emotions. They are supposed to express themselves. That's why you are seeing many scholars, they're actually killing themselves. Someone is just coming from the top of the building, throwing himself down, or drinking chemicals, and then they are dying because they were not taught by their parents
That
how
you can actually come and confide
you
to
can
me.
actually come in, talk to me if you have a problem. You can talk to your friend or
can
talk to someone.
talk to your sibling.
Like you're just taught you're supposed to make it. You cry inside, then the outer side you are supposed to
You're
show
smiling to
you are
people,
smiling to people. No, that
thinking
is
everything
something
is
that
okay.
actually I've come to across with, where on my analysis, on my research with the kids, that so many kids, so many men, so many boys, let me call them
Young
boys,
boys, yes.
so many young boys, they are suffering inside, but they are not able to show on the outside, because they were just not taught to do that. Yeah, that is a problem. Lastly, parents should limit on how they provide for their kids. Nicole, I've come to realize that the art of independence. Nicole, I've come to realize the art of independence and hard work is actually becoming extinct.
Right, in this generation especially.
Yeah. For instance, let me give you an example. You find that a teenager, he actually really don't know how to wash his own clothes. Another one really don't know how to cook. You find a very young girl, a very young, well-dressed girl, but she really has no idea when it comes to cooking. You see that? That is also a problem.
You know that will affect them in their adult lives.
Another example, you find a 30-year-old girl, mostly it's always boys, living with their parents. So you ask yourself, why? What is this? Why is this happening? And you come to realize that it's how they were nurtured, and when you nurture your child,
like that from a young age,
from a young age, to just depend on you, like for everything, depend on you, food, depend on you, on where to sleep and everything, the girl or the boy will not have his own mind
to go and work hard
for himself or herself, to think for himself or herself that I'm supposed to actually grow myself and fight for myself.
Yes.
Yeah, that is actually basically what is the problem to our.
Mr. Madola,
Yes.
as we wrap up, I want you to give us a word of advice to the audience watching and our viewers.
To the parents and the students listening to me today, I want to tell you something. Communication is key. Parents ought to talk to their kids and try to figure out what the problem is whenever there is an emotional changes to their kids. And also another thing, parents, they need to have a time. Parents ought to spend more time with their kids, so that they get more understanding of their
On children.
of their children. And also another thing, parents should be keen of what they're talking, of their language around their kids, because some of the languages and their behavior, it actually affects their health.
Another thing, Mr. Madola, that I've learned from everything you've told us today and what you've talked about, parents should actually refrain from physical and emotional abuse,
Exactly.
because this messes with their children's mental health from a very young age. Well, Mr. Madola, thank you so much for joining us today. Where can we find you?
You can find me on X as Elvandran Madola, and also you can find me on TikTok #Madola, and on YouTube, where I usually have communication with the parents and the teenagers. Yeah, that's basically it. Also, Instagram
Okay.
as Madola.
And that's a wrap for today's show. Thank you all for tuning in. Make sure to follow us across all our social media platforms at Prime Talk Show using all the hashtags Prime Talk Show, Prime Media. See you next time.